Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Lawrence John and this is 16 Burren Way, East Belfast. Built in 1949, it looks like an ordinary terrace house. But this is no ordinary terrace house. This was once the family home of football legend George Best, who lived here until he was 17, before moving to England to play for Manchester United. Stay with me as I take the George Best Trail. That's not to the homes of former Miss Worlds, but to some of the local places that George would have frequented in his first 17 years. Just a few yards from Burren Way, this is Cregagh playing fields, where George honed his phenomenal football skills, playing kickabout with his friends and teammates in Cregagh Boys Club. I was just a boy last time I played. I remember it well. The referee said, "I'm sending you off." I said, "What for?" He said, "For the rest of the match." Here on the Cregagh Road, a short walk from George's home, is what used to be the Ambassador Cinema. Built in 1936, the Art Deco-style building seated 1,030 cinema-goers, including, on many occasions, George Best. One of his favourite movies was the 1960 Stanley Kubrick movie, Spartacus, which starred Kirk Douglas. I'm Spartacus, and so's my wife. Eddie Spence's Chip Shop, established in 1921, is where George got his fish and chips, along with some crispy scrapings from the fryer. I've just been in myself for some chips and a couple of sausages. The boss himself was on. He said, "Battered?" I said, "No, I've just had a hard life." Archys Ice Cream Parlour on Belfast's Newtonards Road, a family-owned business established in 1938 and a favourite haunt of George Best, who loved the homemade ice cream. They say money can't buy happiness, but it can buy ice cream. And isn't that the same thing? Time for a poke. It's match day, and this is the Oval, home ground of Glentoran Football Club. George was a fan, but was turned down as a player because he was small and weak, and we all know how that turned out. However, things didn't go quite so well for Ben Dover, the contortionist-turned-footballer who was continually sent off here for running around his own end. And so we come to the end of the George Best Trail. In his lifetime, George had it all. Talent, fame, money, Miss Worlds. But even George couldn't have imagined events after his death. 100,000 people lined the streets of the funeral route from his Cregagh home to nearby Stormont, where 25,000 mourners were gathered for what had all the appearances of a state funeral. A few months later, his local airport was renamed George Best Belfast City Airport, and a year later the Ulster Bank issued 1 million commemorative £5 notes, which sold out in 5 days. Where did it all go wrong? Until next time, I'm Lawrence John.